In June 1969, Franco's government shut the Gibraltar border, cutting off land communication between the Rock and Spain. Gibraltar was left without its Spanish workforce, and Gibraltarians were isolated from Spanish services, including supplies of food and resources. The British government viewed Franco's move as a provocation, and they planned retaliation techniques, but they faced a dilemma. Any retaliatory moves needed to be effective without harming British national interests. And these declassified documents showed how officials tried to plan these retaliatory measures behind the scenes. Officials in London, led by the FCO and the Board of Trade, brainstormed ways to retaliate against Spain. Several options were discussed, each revealing the competing interests at play within the British government. One of the most serious measures considered was deterring British tourists from visiting Spain. In 1968, Spain was the most popular holiday destination for UK citizens, attracting over 1 million British visitors a year. The British government contemplated measures such as publicly urging British tourists to spend their holidays elsewhere, arguing that going to Spain was unpatriotic because they were treating Gibraltar this way. Proposals also included making it harder for British passport holders to enter Spain, and putting economic pressure on tour operators by introducing new taxes. Officials also discussed suspending air traffic agreements, blocking Iberia's flights to London, or limiting their access to UK airspace. There were even suggestions of putting trade restrictions in place, limiting importations from Spain such as wine and citrus fruits. They also weighed up withdrawing consular assistance for British citizens in Spain to create diplomatic pressure. This meant that if British tourists faced legal trouble in Spain, they would receive no UK consular support. The aim was to create uncertainty and fear, discouraging visits to Spain. However, some officials opposed this, as it could be seen as an abandonment of UK citizens abroad, potentially damaging Britain's international reputation. The documents offer fascinating insights into the power struggles and differing agendas among key British officials. Foreign Office officials were divided between those advocating for a strong response and those who feared escalation. Some believed Britain needed to make a statement to protect Gibraltar, while others argued that Spain could outlast British sanctions. Board of Trade economists were adamantly opposed to measures that could damage the UK's own economy. Their primary concern was that retaliatory sanctions would backfire by harming British businesses, particularly in tourism and trade. Treasury officials' main concern was that financial or travel restrictions would create economic instability and potentially strain relations with other European partners. The final decision makers were cabinet ministers, including the Prime Minister's office, who had to weigh public perception and the effectiveness of any retaliation. In the end, Britain abandoned the idea altogether. It was worried that retaliatory measures would be ineffective and actually cause Britain more harm than good. So instead, it focused on aid and championing Gibraltar's cause in international forums. For Gibraltar, this meant that while the UK publicly condemned Spain's actions, it avoided direct retaliation. The UK's secret debates highlight how economic realities often override political posturing, even in moments of major geopolitical confrontation.